Right, so it would appear that Rishi Sunak has attempted to have the pro-Palestine March in London on Armistice Day stopped by dragging in and trying to convince Met Police Commissioner Mark Rowley to do so. But in uncustomary style for the Met, they've told Sunak they will not do that. We're not going to do what you want us to do this time. People still have free speech, freedom of expression, and the freedom to protest and to demonstrate for a cause they believe in. It's still theirs by right to take. What made this an even weaker action by our spineless Prime Minister is that the Met Police confirmed all of this days ago, yet Sunak has still tried to clamp down on our civil rights again anyway, our protected human rights, to stand up for Palestine. Because rich boy Rishi might have told Benjamin Netanyahu that he hopes he wins, but the loss of life on the scale that we've seen in Gaza, the breaches of international law, allegedly as they remain until properly investigated of course, but the loss of civilian life on the scale we've seen, it surely makes that a moot point. Yet it is a point that people are horrified by sufficiently that they will march, will stand up and be counted, will take a stand against until our governmental leaders who are supposed to serve us start listening to what the majority in this country actually want, rather than the interests of their own donors, which is a ceasefire. Right, so little Rishi, he spat the dummy, he's been stamping his size 13 feet, kid size obviously, because Mark Rowley, the Met Police Commissioner, has repeated what the Met Police said days ago, that the pro-Palestine March planned for Saturday, on Armistice Day, will go ahead because there is no reason to stop it. Between him and Braverman, they've claimed offence. They've claimed that there will be damage. They've claimed that there will be violence and fallout. They've claimed there will be desecration. They've claimed it'll be in poor taste. But backing a country currently bombing an inescapable strip of land where half the inhabitants are kids is more than in poor taste to me. It's utterly depraved and sickening. But then you're Tories, aren't you? Sunak is a sunk Prime Minister anyway. He's done. We're sick of the Tories and their depravity. But this pro-Israel stance in the face of everything we are witnessing thanks to social media, and also foreign media, it has to be said, so often so much better than our own billionaire-owned press because they present the news instead of trying to make it. We're more aware of this genocide than we have been previously in previous conflicts, and the truth of it in real time in a way we've never seen before. More awake to the reality than we ever have been before. So Sunak can have his sulk, and very much has in the form of his statement on this matter, which reads, "This weekend, people around the UK will come together in a quiet reflection to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice for this country. It is not hyperbole to say that we are beneficiaries of an inheritance born of that sacrifice. It is because that sacrifice is so immense that Saturday's planned protest is not just disrespectful, but offends our heartfelt gratitude to the memory of those who gave so much that we may live in freedom and peace today. But part of that freedom is the right to peacefully protest. And the test of that freedom is whether our commitment to it can survive the discomfort and frustration of those who seek to use it, even if we disagree with them. We will meet that test and remain true to our principles." This afternoon I asked the Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley to come to Downing Street and provide reassurances that the police are taking every step necessary to safeguard remembrance services, provide reassurance to those who wish to pay their respects across the country, and keep the public safe from disorder this weekend. It's welcome that the police have confirmed that the march will be away from the cenotaph, and they will ensure the timings do not conflict with any remembrance events. There remains the risk of those who seek to divide society using this weekend as a platform to do so. That is what I discussed with the Metropolitan Police Commissioner in our meeting. The Commissioner is committed to keep the Met Police's posture under constant review based on the latest intelligence about the nature of the protests. And finally, to our veterans and their families, I assure you that we will do everything it takes to protect this special weekend for you and our country as we come together to reflect on those who protected our freedom. I would argue that those going out and marching this weekend are also protecting our freedoms, because this government have tried to lean on the police to get this protest banned. This government have actually tried to scrap our human rights and compile their own Bill of Rights, which definitely wouldn't be the same thing. And the Met has, to their credit, for once stood by us and our rights and not bowed to political pressure from an unelected PM trying to impose his diktat. Sunak knew the march was nowhere near the cenotaph already. It's been said repeatedly for days now that the march is from Hyde Park to the US Embassy. It's at least a mile away from the cenotaph. It is also not happening at the same time as remembrance services are. Sunak makes out that it is disrespectful. But if it was Ukraine, that would be different, wouldn't it? If you're backing Ukraine and not Palestine, however, then you're a hypocrite. Sunak is, to say the least, one of those in relation to that example. We remember those who fought and died in wars of the past, but countless civilians are amongst those who died too. Do we not remember them as well? And should we not stand against more loss of life too? Wars are pointless because they always end ultimately with peace talks and negotiations, and the longer it takes to get to that point, the more people needlessly die. People are seeing grotesque loss of life in the Middle East right now, and though nobody excuses what Hamas did, the proportionate response to that from Israel has seen 10 times the number of innocent Gazans killed, and the people be driven south in what appears to be a genocide and ethnic cleansing. And our government stands with those committing the genocide. If Sunak was so affronted by people marching for Armistice, marching for a ceasefire on Armistice Day, then perhaps he should have thought about being on the side of the majority of British people and not the side of Benjamin Netanyahu. Don't let Sunak try and pretend he's intervened here, because he hasn't. Of course, if he was so worried about disorder and hooliganism over this weekend, he might have done well to have locked Suella Braverman away from the public eye for the last week. And no, I'm not talking about anybody turning up to the demonstration this weekend armed with a tent. The hard-right EDL and the Football Lads Alliance are apparently planning to target pro-Palestinian activities this weekend, and you can't say Braverman hasn't been encouraging this with their constant reference to hate marches by the left in relation to Palestinian demonstrations. It's certainly the left that those hate groups from the hard right are aiming for. If there is disruption on Saturday, if there is desecration of war memorials, it won't be from the pro-Palestine marches, but you watch Braverman quickly come out blaming them for it. Violence that will ensue from another war, only in this case, it'll be another Suella Braverman-induced culture war, her chasing headlines. I genuinely think she wants to see pro-Palestinian demonstrators beaten in the streets. That's our Home Secretary for us, folks. And as if on cue, she got a piece out in the Murdoch Times today in relation to all of this, accusing the Met Police of bias now, thus endangering police officers too. Just to prove how out of control she is, Downing Street apparently didn't sign off on her little rant in the right-wing rag, having suggested changes to it, which she has ignored. Sunak is so weak he can't even control his own ministers, but especially her. Little wonder there's people pondering whether she's literally trying to get the sack right now, so she can stand in a post-election leadership contest. But will Sunak act or just let her get even worse? That's his choice. So we have a pro-Israel government condemning a peace protest, trying to get it banned and failing, where the Home Secretary has now incited violence from the far right to descend upon Saturday's march, along with now getting it aimed at the Met Police too, and we're still pondering if she'll not still keep her job despite all of that. I sincerely wish everyone taking part in Saturday's pro-Palestine, pro-peace ceasefire marches across the country on this the very best. Solidarity to you all. Please be safe though, because it seems the biggest danger to that right now is coming from our own government. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please like, share and subscribe if you did. More content out daily. Please do have your say on this story in the comments below and be part of the conversation. Meanwhile, here's a video recommendation where Braverman's rhetoric, on the other hand, has likely ensured the marches will be huge as people go out of their way to defy her. Such is the British way. And I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.